This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. I cannot express enough how important it is for everybody out there to be aware of the climate agenda. Nobody seems to talk about it. You do not hear the alt-right. They call it a climate cult because they don't want to explain to you what's really going on. I try to explain it very, very clearly. The climate agenda is about enslavement. It's about total control. They're going to track and monitor every single thing that you do. The carbon threat to them, the carbon that they want to reduce, is us. Very simple, right? What do they say about human beings? Carbon-based life forms? Nobody thinks about that, right? Nobody ever thinks about that when they're talking about reducing carbon. Now, I have to show you a clip from the climate czar, John Kerry, skull and bones, secret society member, guy who should not be walking free. None of these members of secret societies who serve in our office should be allowed to be there. They should be arrested for treason. Okay? That's what a conspiracy is, right? They're working in secret groups, secret organizations that they try to convince you is just a fraternity where they drink beer and watch sports and hit on girls. No, it's about world order, world domination. They've all committed treason. And if we were to arrest all the politicians who are Freemasons or Eastern Star witches, we would have nobody left because the left and the right are completely compromised and every single one of them is doing what they're doing by design because their motto is order out of chaos, right? Divide and conquer. That's what the left and right are doing right now. This is the Masonic motto. So you have skull and bones czar, or excuse me, climate czar, John Kerry, who doesn't even look to be alive at this point, just frightening I mean, can anybody, like, if you go out and you see like a guy the age of these people, you notice him and you're like, oh yeah, it's just an old guy, but he still looks normal, no matter what his weight is or whatever else. All of these guys who are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, you could see what ghouls they are, right? They try to look younger. Of course, this all ties in with the mark and them wanting immortality, but it's just the stuff that they do to themselves. They look like just plastic ghouls. Here's John Kerry. What's he talking about? John Kerry's talking about how the United States needs to join other nations and swear off coal. So you might listen and go, well, what's the big deal? I hear coal's bad. You hear coal's bad because they keep telling you that. But did you know that coal is the largest, it still leads the charge when it comes to electricity, right? It represents, they claim, the majority of electricity in our world, right? So if we're going to remove coal, how are we going to run all these electric cars and electric homes where we don't have gas, right? They want to get rid of coal and they want to get rid of natural gas. Those are the number one and number two sources of electricity. So how are you going to do it? With little solar panels? They're like, yeah, we'll use these big solar panels and windmills. Do you know how much electricity will be garnered? Enough to enslave you is how much, right? Now, these people will never rid those things off. They'll still be living with coal and with natural gas. We'll be living with little, solar-powered things that only work for about 30 minutes in the day. Then we'll have to figure out and ration off our showers and everything else and live like prisoners, which that's what the goal is. That's what the climate agenda is all about. So they don't tell you that because they say, well, everyone's going to live great. And it's just a little bit of a sacrifice to make. And then, of course, when you're relying on the sun, right, for electricity through your solar panels, keep in mind that this is the same government that has already come out and told us, Bill Gates, et cetera, all these trustworthy people have their hands in everything, have told us that they want to block out the sun to prevent carbon emissions. So when they block out the sun and your only source of electricity is a minimal amount of electricity through solar panels, thus you'll have none. And we're giving up our rights to live because we're all being duped. I'm not. The people that's in my channel aren't. Young kids who are new or finding my channel because of some of the other stuff I'm talking about, become aware. This is the end of humanity. And listen to him talk about how we're going to get rid of coal.
To be transitioning out of coal. There shouldn't be any more coal-fired power plants permitted anywhere in the world. That's how you can do something for health. And the reality is that we're not doing it. So, the measure here is really sounding the alarm bell. I find myself getting more and more militant because I do not understand how adults who are in position of responsibility can be avoiding responsibility for taking away those things that are killing people on a daily basis. And the reality is that the climate crisis and the health crisis are one and the same.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim.
So they say that stuff and it sounds great, right? To the dumbed down zombie, they're like, oh, that is great. We're going to get rid of coal. Coal is horrible. Is it? Is it? Because the other thing on the list is also natural gas. So when they're talking about getting rid of carbon, they're talking about getting rid of you. And then on top of that, when they say they want you to be fully dependent on solar panels, they don't tell you about these other stories, which you can see on the screen, where they talk about blocking out the sun. Right? I've covered the predictive programming with Mr. Burns and The Simpsons blocking out the sun, Joe Biden's administration looking for ways to block out the sun. And of course, they don't even need to literally block out the sun because the chemtrails they put in the sky can take care of that themselves. Now, for anybody out there that's buying into the climate agenda, and you actually think that this is really going on, there are some things that are going on. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's completely fabricated. What's going on is called geoengineering, okay? They're manipulating the temperature of the earth by doing certain things. They're also manipulating storms that come and go by destroying certain places that they want to destroy, which is why I constantly fear about good people being herded into states like Florida and Texas because they're honeypots for them to drill with HAARP and hurricane after hurricane after hurricane. So they get away with killing people off and destroying their homes with hurricanes, which is what they want to do, and then they rally you into FEMA camps because nobody will question the validity of HAARP or CERN or any of these machines that they have. I mean, nobody out there asks the question about why Tesla, who's Tesla? Like, what is Tesla cars? Well, Tesla created an earthquake machine a long, long time ago, 100 years ago. So I think they've mastered it by now. So they can make earthquakes. They could use HAARP to make storms. They did it in Vietnam with Operation Popeye. So they can manipulate the weather, but they can also manipulate the temperatures of the earth, right? So you might say, wow, I'm getting no snow in the East Coast this year, last year, etc. Well, have you noticed up in the sky what's going on? These hazes every day? Yeah, it's called geoengineering. So they're the ones who are doing all this manipulation by design so they could eventually, not eventually, really soon by 2030, herd you into this. You're not going to have electricity. And all these people who are supporting it, who are propping themselves up, who are complete morons, they're still going to sit there when they pull the plug on the grid and they're going to say, well, we're being good people. And eventually they're going to crack because they're going to realize they messed up, but they're never going to admit to that. They're just going to go, well, now we have to just cope with the fact that we have no electricity. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, I was so stupid. I should have armed myself. I should have gotten food stored up. And now what can we do to go after these people? No, they'll just continue to comply until their deathbeds, even dying of starvation. So these people should be arrested for treason just based on their allegiances to secret societies. But what really needs to be discussed is these idiots that actually think, well, we need to get rid of coal and natural gas, and then we need to get rid of people who have wood-burning stoves. That's the next thing. They're like, get rid of wood burn. Oh, okay, so any source of heat, right? So then you're not going to have enough electricity to heat your home. So if you're a parent out there and you're so stupid and you're stuck in this liberal mindset, well, oh yeah, we're good people. Yeah, are you going to be a good parent when you can't warm your home for your kids? Are you going to be a good parent when you can't heat food for your kids? Well, I guess not, because you won't have any food saved up because you think all this stuff is a conspiracy and you haven't realized the fact that they're censoring all of us isn't because we're a detriment to you. We're a detriment to them. See, we're helping you. We're trying to aid you in prepping for what they're about to do. And most people keep ignoring it. Now, these are the same psychopaths who are going to be unhinged when the grid shuts down. And they're going to come to your home and demand that you give them their food, your food, right? Because we can see how these people are acting. We see how unhinged they are, think everything's theirs. And obviously, they're going to walk into an unpleasant situation because the majority of people who are stocking for survival are armed and prepared. And we're not going to be super nice about this stuff because they're the ones who have enabled the government to do this. They're the ones who have gone along with the Communist Manifesto and the Communist agenda, and they're the ones who are allowing them to strip our rights away. It started with free speech, and it continues with every single Bill of Rights that we have, every single constitutional right we have being taken away from us. And it's really because of the liberal hive minders. It really is. You can blame them. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Democrat. It's all fake. But obviously, conservative people are aware. A lot of them are aware of what's going on. Unfortunately, a lot of them are putting their eggs in the Donald Trump basket, which is just another herding mechanism. But they're allowed to believe what they want to believe. So back to the story with this guy. He's on television. He's at these meetings, right? And they're talking openly about getting rid of coal, all of it, not minimizing it, all of it, because they're gearing towards Agenda 2030. It's now or never for them. So the U.S. committed, on Saturday to the idea of phasing out coal power plants, joining 56 other nations in kicking the coal habit that's a huge factor in global warming. Okay, this tells you that the globalist government, which we all know, is in place. All these countries are going along with it. Any country and nation that doesn't go along with it will have what happened to Turkey happen to them. You might recall I was thrown off the internet then. I'm a new YouTuber. I was thrown off because I covered the Turkey earthquake, okay? Turkey was not going along with the UN, who is the head of the snake. Really, the UN is the New World Order. We could all look at the Vatican and Bagelville, but it hides under the UN logo, okay? The UN wanted Turkey to oblige by these. Well, what happened? Turkey said, we don't really want to do what you're asking us to do, right? Because people have to understand, fights happen. You have fights in your own home with your own mom, your own dad, your own boyfriend, your own girlfriend, okay? Even the Satanists, even the globalists have disagreements about certain things, right? So they were disagreeing with it. So what happened? Turkey got hit with the most devastating earthquake in the history of humanity, and the media barely covered it. I covered what was forming in the sky beforehand. You could see up in the ionosphere what they were doing, how they were manipulating, and they created an earthquake, right? Because they could use these weather things that they can create, these weather events like hurricanes and earthquakes, to wipe out entire cities, entire towns, entire countries, right? Because they devastate the entire country. And we're going to get tons of that here in America very, very soon. And what are they going to do? They're going to blame it on the boogeyman, climate change, because nobody can think that they have the ability to do this. But if you actually look at patents and documents of the government, they do have the ability to do it. Not only do they have the ability, they're going to do it. Okay. And they have the boogeyman in place. That's why they constantly are beating it into your head about climate change, because then the people who survive their attacks that they use the weather for are going to have to oblige and say, look, we have to do this. There has to be climate laws in place, because otherwise we're going to have earthquakes and stuff. And they're going to go, okay, all right, so I can't shower. I have to shower once a week. I have to do this because for the climate. When it's really, you're just doing it to enslave yourself for these people who will still be using coal. They'll still be using natural gas. Just you won't. They'll be flying around in private jets and you'll be able to do anything about it. You'll be stuck in your electric vehicle that they decide to drive off a cliff when they feel like it, or shut off, or blow up. Because the majority of EV vehicles explode. That's what lithium batteries do, which I've covered over and over again. Most of these idiots are they do not pay attention. They think it's a conspiracy. They hear what they want to hear. And when they're enslaved and they're still not going to realize what's going on, they're going to come for you because they've been trained to hate people who are conservative, people who are Christian, people who are conspiracy theorists. They've been trained to hate them. So they're going to look at you as the enemy, even though all of us have been trying to help them from the get-go. So another thing to note, where John Kerry is the climate czar, somebody pointed it out to me on the website, uprisingrevival.com, which is great because I don't know every single thing. People are like, oh, he knows I don't know. And a lot of people out there actually even know more than me and know. Everybody knows a lot who's awake right now. Okay, other people just don't want to have a YouTube channel. They like to share information just by talking and posting in the forum over there, which is what's really great about it. So somebody made me aware of this. I wasn't even aware that Biden announced last year that the senior clean energy and climate team, he announced that the senior advisor for the clean energy innovation and implementation is this guy, John Skippy Podesta. You remember this guy? Oh, yeah, I know a lot of long-term listeners. I don't know who's still here from then, but John Skippy Podesta. Yeah, you can look at him and know what he is, but I've exposed him time and time again in the past about his involvement with really disgusting acts with the youngsters. Yeah, and it was documented, and you could see all the disgusting things inside his home. So, of course, this guy's not in jail, and I don't think Trump ever threw him in jail when he said he was going to drain the swamp. No, instead, he's on the climate initiative, along with Skull and Bones John Kerry, right? And starting to connect the dots why Satanists are so obsessed with the climate agenda, because they're going to enslave you with it. That's the devil's agenda, and it's all ruse under climate. And people are like, oh, that makes no sense to me. Oh, why are they so obsessed with the climate? Why was one of the things on the, what do they call? I can't even think of it off the top of my head. The Georgia Guidestones, right? I've covered it so many times over the years. Remember they blew them up? They blew them up, of course, because they wanted to get to what was underneath it, which was just a little kit for all the, they have a little, instruction manual that they pretend wasn't really there. But the whole purpose was that there was actually, just like in the Denver airport, okay, they have the Freemasons have their little mural there, and they have their little time capsule that they have built underneath all these things, right? They have the Denver airport, they had under the Georgia Guidestones, but even on the Georgia Guidestones, people don't even think anything of it. They're like, oh my gosh, they're talking about, population control, which yes, they are, which is very frightening, but they also constantly are referencing nature, right? And who else references nature all the time? Witches, right? Oh, we're pagans. We love the trees and all this stuff, yeah? They love the devil. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, okay? There's always reference to this stuff. The climate agenda is the ultimate enslavement agenda. By getting rid of coal, okay, we're moving closer and closer to ultimate enslavement. Okay, coal and natural gas, they will always have and control and live off of. They're not getting rid of any of it. It's in abundance. You can constantly get it. Nothing is wrong with the climate other than the things that they're doing to it. So get them, their chemtrails in the sky, get them to stop. Oh, they won't stop. Nobody believes it is actually real. They think it's water vapor. Yeah, water vapor doesn't sit up in the sky for days on end. You don't wake up with a blue sky and then have haze skies the rest of the day. Nobody notices because nobody looks up. They mock you, right? Remember the Netflix movie, Don't Look Up? I think that's what it's called. Because nobody looks up and sees it. They're looking down at their phones all the time. And they're doing it day in and day out. They're geoengineering us. They're weaponizing weather against us. They're dumping chemicals all over us. These people are. The same people are trying to stop. And instead, what do they have everybody doing? At each other's throats. Everybody's looking at each other with their political affiliation instead of looking at a small group of these people who control the wealth and the resources who are trying to kill us all off. And we're getting closer and closer. And the more resources we let them take, we are going to be screwed. And if you aren't sufficient on land and everything else, and you don't have land, etc., well, learn trades, because you're going to need them. We're all going to need them. So join the website. There's a lot of conversations over there about uprisingrevival.com. If you're trying to figure out how you can get food and do all these types of things. It's $2.99 a month, but it's troll-free. It's ad-free. It's exclusive content. A lot of people, you get on the mailing list. I send you email updates, etc. It's a good way for all of us to stay connected. So check it out if you haven't. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always, and your families.